Anybody ever ask yourselves the questions, why try? Why should I try? Why should I put effort? Has anybody here ever asked students that question? What's the answer to the question, why try? When I got my master's degree in social work and spent a lot of time and money getting a master's degree in social work, I spent 8 years, $65,000. I went to work at an alternative school, and the third day of school, a kid had picked up his desk and had thrown it through a window. And 3 legs of the desk are sticking out of the window. And I take this kid back down to my office, sit down with him for about 2 hours, do some crisis intervention with him. At the end of the 2 hours, what do you think the kid said to me? He told me whatever I wanted to hear to get the heck out of my office as fast as he could. I remember thinking to myself, I just spent 8 years of my life, $65,000, and I have no idea how to help this kid. Anybody else ever experienced that feeling? And I was trained in brief solution-focused therapy, reality therapy, strength-based counseling. I was trained by some of the top behavioral specialists in the country. And I'm thinking to myself, I really don't know what to do with this kid. How am I going to get this kid to go back to class, turn in his homework, stop throwing his desk? They never really went over in graduate school what to do when a kid is throwing their desk through a window. That topic didn't come up too often. And I made the biggest mistake. I went home to my wife that night, and I said, honey, I have no idea how to help most of these students I'm working with. And let me preface this. My wife was working 2 jobs helping me get through school. And when I went home and said to her, I have no idea how to help these kids, she pointed out to me, she goes, look, Christian, we just spent 8 years, $65,000. You better come up with something. And that's one of the reasons this WhyTry program exists, not the total reason. When I work with students, I always do 2 things. I always ask them, what's the answer to the question, why try? And I usually never get more than one response. What do you think they say? They go, I don't know. I don't know, Mr. Moore. I don't know the answer to the question, why try? And Counseling 101 teaches you what? Start where the child is. You can have the greatest theories, the greatest interventions in the world, but if they don't motivate this kid in front of us, we're probably not going to get that far with them. So I wanted to make sure every child I work with knows the answer to the question, why try? They'll have more opportunity in life. They'll have more freedom. They'll have more self-respect. And then I do a quick assessment on their 3 main environments of home, school, and peers. Those are the 3 main places they spend their time. And I really believe until you really understand what they're dealing with in those 3 environments, it's pretty hard to intervene. So first I want to tell you a little bit about my home environment, because most of this WhyTry program comes out of my own life experience. First, my home environment. I grew up right in between Baltimore and Washington, D.C. My mom got married really, really young. She had me and an older sister. And then my mom got a divorce, and she met a man who had 6 kids, whose wife had just left him with 6 kids. He meets my mom, and they have 4 more kids. Anybody know the total of that? 12. I had 5. You have learning disabilities too. I'm just kidding. I had 5 brothers, and I had 6 sisters. And to say the least, my mom was just a little bit overwhelmed with those kids. Now, I have 1 child at home and 1 child on the way at any moment now, and I'm overwhelmed sometimes. And I'm not being funny when I say this. It's intense being a parent. So I have a whole new perspective. That's just with 1 child I'm saying. I have a whole new perspective. I couldn't even imagine my mom raising these 12 kids. My mom was pretty much a single mom. She didn't get any help from my dad. My dad was kind of old school. I'm married to new school. Does that make sense? I change every diaper. There's been a shift in this country. It's not the way. Anybody who's over 50, yeah, you had the good life. That game's over now. But anyways, like I said, my mom was pretty overwhelmed with those kids. So I was a street kid. From the time I was 7 years old, I could stay out till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I had almost no rules, no boundaries as a child growing up. The best way to describe my childhood, it's like a kite flying in the air. If you cut the string on the kite, what would the kite do? It'd come crashing to the ground. The only thing that keeps the kite up in the air is the resistance on that string, and that string represents laws and rules. And I grew up pretty much with no laws, no rules, so I spent the first 25 years of my life coming down and crashing pretty hard. As a child, I was diagnosed with ADHD, conduct disorder, severe learning disabilities. My dad had mild autism. My mom had social phobia and an anxiety disorder. And we lived under 1 roof of a house with 11 other siblings with similar issues. Do y'all need to know anything more about my childhood? I mean, without saving time here, y'all could probably read between the lines quite a bit on what this childhood was like. I was very lucky. I had a miracle come into my life. One of my best friend's moms comes to me one day. I was actually out late one night, and sometimes I'd be out 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. I'd hang out with kids my own age till like 6, 7 o'clock at night, but they had to go in the house, And so I'd hang around the older kids. I was almost like their mascot, is the best way I can explain it. I would hang out with the older kids, and one night I'm out in the middle of the night, and a car pulls up, and guess what we did? You run in that situation when a car pulls up slowly. And this car pulls up, we're getting ready to take off running, I hear a voice. And this voice is like, Christian, come back here. And I walk over to the car, I look in the window, and it's my best friend's mom. Her name's Mama Jackson. She says, you know what, Christian? What are you doing out here this time of night? The fun and games are over. You're not hanging out with Sean anymore. What does she know? She knew what all good parents know. Who your children hang out with is going to have a tremendous, tremendous impact on their future. I'll show you a quick picture here of her. This is a picture of her today. She's an amazing, amazing person. She's actually just here in Utah visiting with me a few weeks ago. And she is still parenting me, by the way. But this morning, one morning I wake up and I decide, hey, I'm not going to go to school this morning. So I'd wake up, start throwing a tantrum, start yelling at my mom. And my mom would say, Christian, just please, please stop talking. If you'll just leave me alone, I'll let you stay home from school today. Well, Sean, if I didn't come to school, Sean would call his mom and say, okay, Christian's not coming to school. Mama Jackson told me a little while before this, she goes, you know, Christian, if you'll go to school every day, stay out of trouble, check in with me, you can come eat in my house anytime you want. And Mama Jackson's a seriously good cook. That's one of the reasons why I'm in top physical condition right now. And when I got my master's degree in social work, she was the only person to come to my graduation. That was the highlight. The only person in my immediate family to come to my graduation. And she got on an airplane, flew 2,000 miles across the United States and was sitting on the 10th row there at BYU. And let me tell you, she was very easy to spot at BYU. And when I looked at her up there in the audience, I thought to myself, man, can I share with every child in this country what she shared with me? And we haven't hit every child yet. We're starting to hit hundreds of thousands of kids across this country. But my goal is before I'm 6 feet under, I want every child in this country to have the same access to what she gave me. Now I understand she gave me what? Social and emotional education. She spent about 2 years trying to help me with reading, writing, and arithmetic. And after about 2 years, she was like, you're probably never going to master this. And so she started emphasizing more social emotional skills to me. And it's real simple things. She would say, when you talk to me, you need to look me in the eye, you need to speak clearly, slow down. And she's an amazing, amazing person.